Everyone's talking about how Meghan Markle didn't get an invite to the private funeral in Rome. That, my friends, is the wrong story. The real story is that her private outreach became public, and that only happens when the room wants you exposed.
Meghan Markle crashed Valentino Garavani's funeral in Rome uninvited.
Meghan Markle is in California with her wanting to be in the UK husband, trying to get back to the UK.
It's hard to tell you why I cannot stand Meghan Markle so much. After all, there are a lot of know-nothing, attention-seeking former actresses in this world. Part of it is because I do love the UK so much, and I think we effectively exported our worst cultural asset to hurt their royal family. And the other part of it, though, is the way that the media has always lapped up her obviously false claims and fed into her delusions of grandeur, which culminated in her and her husband, Prince Harry.
Meghan Markle showed up in Rome with an entourage and a full camera crew, trying to turn a private funeral into a personal image reset. But this wasn't a red carpet moment, and security moved quickly to shut it down. In a room built for grief and respect, she walked in like it was branding season. Everyone's fixated on the idea that Meghan didn't get invited.
Going to the press conference when the restoration of the castle was finished, and it was announced that it had been done within the budget, within the time. The press was so disappointed.
But that's not the real story. The real story is that her behind-the-scenes outreach got exposed. And leaks like that don't happen by accident. They happen when the gatekeepers want you seen and want you shut out. That's the signal here. The room doesn't want Meghan included. It wants her revealed. Here's why Meghan...
But what is so alarming to me is how Meghan continues to want to create these ripples in these other areas and parts of the world, as she did a few days ago.
Meghan gets under people's skin. She isn't unique. Hollywood is full of attention chasers. But with Meghan, the frustration is amplified because she's seen as an exported cultural headache that landed right inside the UK's most symbolic institution. And the bigger issue? The media kept feeding the fantasy, treating every claim like gospel, until the delusion became a full-blown brand built on entitlement. Meghan just took a public rejection so brutal.
Prince Harry nearly broke down in tears in court today, weeping about Meghan Markle's misery. And he was told to stop arguing back by the judge. Well, Prince Harry was giving evidence in his privacy claim against the publisher of the Daily Mail and the Mail on Sunday in the High Court today.
It's hard to spin. And at the same time, Harry was unraveling in a London courtroom, getting corrected again and again like a man out of his depth. While he was fighting for dignity under oath, she was fighting for access behind closed doors. And that's what makes this moment bigger than a funeral. It's the sound of their entire post-royal strategy cracking in real time. Meghan didn't want proximity to power. She wanted membership. She believed royalty was a permanent backstage pass. But every true elite circle runs on one rule. What happens inside stays inside. And the minute you try to force your way in, the system doesn't just say no. It makes sure everyone hears the no. Now let's walk through exactly how this collapsed.
Legend in the fashion world has died. We're just getting word fashion designer Valentino Garavani passed away today. After a life of creating beauty, the age of 93.
Step by step. According to insider reporting, Meghan immediately started calling into Valentino's inner circle, trying to lock in a place among the fashion elite. Think about how fast that is. A legend dies, and her first move isn't condolences. It's networking. She wasn't reaching out to honor him. She was reaching out to position herself. And the funeral date was already set, meaning the clock was ticking, and she was sprinting for an invitation she didn't earn. More than 10,000 people came to pay respects, and Meghan wanted the photo, not the farewell. The problem is simple. She wasn't part of Valentino's world. She never showed up for his runway legacy, never belonged to his inner circle. Wearing the clothes doesn't make you family. This wasn't about mourning. It was about access, standing close enough to the real gatekeepers so the cameras could imply she belonged. Meghan thought it would work because the same tactic worked before. Show up, ask your way in, and let the optics do the rest. She'd already pushed into Paris Fashion Week by essentially requesting entry. No invitation, just...
Seth Doan looks now at Valentino's impact on fashion.
His last name was Garavani, but just Valentino was enough to signal elegance, glamour, and that Italian style. Celebrities and royals were among his many muses, red carpets his stages, and that scarlet, or was it poppy, was a signature, his seductive Valentino red.
I love beauties, I love making women sensational, glamorous, and
audacity. So she tried the same play again, banking on old connections and borrowed proximity. But this time, the answer wasn't a quiet no. It was a public rejection, clean, sharp, and unmistakable. This is why the funeral story hits harder than a bitchy Hollywood embarrassment. Funerals are sacred territory. In elite circles especially, everything is handled privately, quietly, respectfully, and anyone who doesn't belong stands out instantly. If Meghan were truly inside,
you're done. This is why the funeral story is so damaging to her. Because here's why this Valentino funeral situation is not just embarrassing for her. It's a career-defining moment, in my opinion, because funerals are sacred territory in elite circles, not just elite circles, in everybody's circle, especially if you have, a close-knit family and you're like, oh yeah, that blah, 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 everybody's very close-knit. But the moment that you see somebody that's not supposed to be there, everybody's like, why are they here? You know what I mean? Everything is handled silently when it comes to funerals, when it comes to elite circles, privately and respectfully, because
there would have been no chaos, no scrambling, no exposure. Instead, the event happened. Tributes were given. The real inner circle gathered. And Meghan was nowhere. And now the leak has turned her private desperation into public proof. While Meghan was trying to force her way into a funeral in Rome, Harry was in London detonating his own courtroom credibility. He walked into a privacy lawsuit and started acting like the lawyer, arguing, spiraling, pushing back, until the judge had to step in and effectively tell him to stop performing and start answering. It wasn't strength. It was loss of control. On full display.
Prince Harry broke down in big boy tears as he gave some testimony today in his lawsuit against the Daily Mail, claiming that they have made his wife's life an absolute misery. Well, Harry, I'm sorry. Why does that have any bearing on this case at all? You're talking about articles that were written between 2001 and 2013, 3 years before you allegedly met your wife. So what does Meghan have anything to do with this trial? Well, as the answer turns out, it has everything to do with Prince Harry's motivation and his miserable existence right now, because his wife is miserable, she's making his life miserable,
and then Harry did the most revealing thing of all. In a case that predates Meghan entirely, he started crying about Meghan, voice cracking, near tears, dragging her into a legal fight where she doesn't belong. Why? Because she's the emotional center of his reality now, whether the facts support it or not. He insists his circles don't leak, that journalists have no real sources. Yet the receipts exist in plain sight. The contradiction is the point. And the tragedy is bigger than the trial. He's fighting for privacy while living off exposure, writing tell-alls, filming documentaries, and monetizing every intimate detail. The court doesn't buy it. The public doesn't buy it. And Meghan, tellingly, was nowhere near London to support him. She was across the ocean, working a funeral angle. That tells you everything about
Ludicrous headlines over the weekend suggesting Prince Harry could somehow worm his way back into the fold. It seems like Sussex PR is in overdrive lately. Are you seeing that too, or do you feel that way?
Well, I do think that Sussex overdrive is unbelievable. But I mean, I don't think that he is going to get back in. I mean, I think that there are two reasons. One is I think that William wouldn't allow it. And secondly, the moment he got back to America, he immediately promoted Disney and his trip to Disney World, which showed that he is very commercially minded, which we'll get into later on, which makes it impossible for him. And of course, Meghan wouldn't come back to Britain. So I think it's always the same. He wants his cake and eat it.
Isn't that the truth? All right, so Revenge was released in July of 2022. Since then, based on polling and media coverage, how would you describe the trajectory of Harry and Meghan's reputations professionally and personally? It feels like they've taken quite a bit of a dive.
Priorities. This Valentino fiasco is Tom Bower's thesis playing out in real time. The fashion world saw what Meghan was doing, trying to turn death into a status ladder, and they shut the door. And Bower's broader critique is even more brutal. He argues she doesn't have the core ingredient that makes lifestyle stardom work: authenticity. Big budgets and top producers can't manufacture that. Audiences can smell performed from a mile away. Real brands are built from consistency and genuine personality, whether people love you or hate you. But if they sense you're acting, they stop caring. Bower also argues Harry is fully controlled. Every decision filtered through Meghan. And what happened in court fits that narrative. Harry turned a legal case into
I think professionally they've gone down dramatically, and I predicted it in the book, but even I would not have thought it'd be that accelerated. I think personally, I think they've separated their professional lives, but I think what's really a great problem for them now, as of in the last few weeks, is that Meghan has got no real income anymore. She's finished.
Right.
The Netflix series is over. There's no great podcast. They don't generate any money. And I don't see where she is going from here. I think she has a major problem. And I think as of this week, the signal for her great problem.
Emotional defense of his wife. Then there's the scoreboard, predictions about Netflix fallout, public fatigue, and brand decay. When projects tank, rankings collapse, and global appeal turns into niche interest.
News that Spotify is ending its relationship with Harry and Meghan. Reporting indicates that they were paid some $20 million for 12 episodes. And despite this astronomically high rate per episode, Meghan apparently could not find the time to actually conduct interviews herself and would have someone else do it. She would then edit in her voice as if she was the one doing the interview. One of the craziest things I have ever heard. But there are even more details on the Spotify project, which are just too good. Harry apparently reneged on many parts of his deal because he just had too hard of a time coming up with something to actually say. His ideas ranged from a podcast on veterans issues.
Industry doesn't negotiate. It moves on. And that's what this looks like. Not scandal, but irrelevance setting in. Even the Paris Fashion Week moment shows the same blind spot, filming luxury vibes near the exact place Diana died, treating it like a playful tourist beat instead of a site of trauma.
There's a bridge, and what that suggests is that she is near the site where Princess Diana tragically lost her life. Now, let's watch a bit about what Meghan Markle's body language does here. We're going to cover this a couple of times, we'll watch it a couple of times, but I think that it's really significant, so let's just keep watching. So as you can see, she waited until she panned the camera to her feet, she shuffled her feet a little bit and then crossed them. Watch this right here. So you can see very briefly she lifted her left foot and then chose to put her right foot over it, which shows how intentional and planned this was. It shows that she's not just looking out a window, she's giving thought to what she's doing. This is all very intentional. So the question is this intentionally disrespectful to Princess Diana? Well, first let's talk about the significance of her filming her feet in this way. Interestingly, the feet are one of our least consciously controlled parts of our body. So as you can see her trying to shuffle around and figure out what to do, there was a real desire to show herself with her feet crossed, with her feet up. So when we think about symbolically what feet...
For the family she married into, it's not just tone deaf. It signals a deeper issue. She doesn't respect the institution's emotional gravity, and she doesn't understand how symbolism works in that world. So what comes next looks less like drama and more like pressure. The money tightening, the legal risks rising, and the lifestyle staying expensive. If Harry loses, the financial consequences could be catastrophic. And then there's the core fracture. Harry wants reconciliation and a route back to the UK. Meghan wants Hollywood access and elite invitations.
Newspapers has always denied any wrongdoing, calling the allegations preposterous smears. Now, this is the last of Harry's major court cases against the tabloids. In 2023, he testified and won against the Mirror Group. And last January, he settled against the publishers of The Sun, who apologized and paid him damages. But guys, when Harry is back here in the UK for trial,
those goals don't align. They collide. And the most dangerous prediction isn't hate, it's indifference. When people stop caring, the spotlight doesn't attack you, It simply shuts off. Zoom out and the pattern becomes undeniable. She tries to leverage moments for
Meghan Markle, she went to Paris to attend the Balenciaga fashion show. She took her entire team. She took Daniel, the hair and makeup artist. She took Marcus Anderson. Now, Marcus Anderson is this interesting character, right? He's considered the second most important man in Meghan Markle's life. He's apparently the head of membership at Soho House, and he's someone she's been friends with since before she met Harry, right? You know, she used to hang out with Harry at Soho House. So Marcus Anderson, I don't know if he's the best influence on her. When I look at Meghan Markle in these videos and pictures from Paris, she seems kind of drugged out. She seems kind of faded, a little bit like this and that. I don't know if she's jet lagged.
Status, works the connections, and gets blocked. Harry melts down publicly, making himself, and by extension their brand, look unstable. Streaming deals fade, elite circles reject her, Hollywood stays distant. The same play keeps running, but the doors are closing faster each time. Here's the bottom line. Meghan keeps trying to invite herself into rooms that don't want her. Harry keeps embarrassing himself in fights he can't win cleanly. Their goals are incompatible. The public goodwill is gone, and the industry appetite is drying up. The question isn't whether they're failing. Failure is already here. The real question is how much further this unravels before they vanish from the public stage entirely. What do you think? Are we watching the collapse in real time?